center for sleep as well. What else did you need?
No, that's very helpful. Just the types of insurance your practice accepts, like Medicare,
Everything.
commercial.
Anything that'll come through the door, they accept. I can't think of any that we don't accept here that we at least don't accept. We got Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Harvard Pilgrim, Tufts, Aetna, Cigna, Fallon. To an extent, although Fallon had some limitations in this part of the state. I don't know. Anyone else?
Yeah, that covers it.
Basically.
Yeah, it covers the background for our purposes. Thank you. To kind of continue broadly, could you share your general thoughts on the current environment for the utilization, coverage, and reimbursement of sleep testing?
That's a broad subject.
Yes.
Should we take them one at a time? I mean,
sure. Yeah, it's very open-ended conversation. So.
Yeah, sleep medicine has evolved over the years and decades. Sleep medicine really began only in 1975 out in Stanford, and it was, just their lab. And then sort of CPAP didn't come about until about 1980, 81, where it was nasal CPAP with a mask that looked very much like a spaceship. I would say 20 years ago when I really got started in this, it was pretty open-ended. The insurers didn't know much about it. We got sleep studies done in our lab pretty easily. We got equipment pretty easily. About 10 years ago, they started realizing that there were lots and lots of people with sleep apnea. And they started looking at their cost setup and realized that they didn't want to give everybody a polysomnography in the lab, that they could get away with some home studies, which then became, over time, more of an issue of anyone who didn't have other sleep pathology or other comorbidities and was not a Medicare patient could be done as an outpatient, be done as a home sleep study versus a polysomnography in the lab. Reimbursements have gone down over time. Clearly, home sleep studies pay less than polysomnography, but even the polysomnography reimbursements have gone down as well. The environment has changed. A lot of companies that were really involved with sleep medicine went out of business around the time that things began to change, which was, I would say, about 2010 through 2012, the situation. And some very, quote, healthy companies went out of business. Companies that did everything from soup to nuts went out of business, national companies, because of having too much, basically we'd say brick and mortar labs, is that they just became underutilized and couldn't support it. The survivors are out there who are still doing sleep studies, but nobody really does soup to nuts, like doing the consultation, the study, the interpretation, the equipment, monitoring the equipment. It's not pretty much done like that. Durable medical equipment companies do all the equipment stuff, and then the sleep centers do the diagnostic side of it. So there's a real separation of diagnostic sleep medicine from, say, treatment sleep medicine and who owns what. Nobody knows where it goes in the future. There is still a high utilization of sleep studies because of so many people having sleep disorders, and yet with a reduction in the amount of labs, the wait times tend to go up in the labs themselves. And the home sleep study is what it is. It's basically a screening study for sleep apnea, but not necessarily tell you anything about sleep per se. So it's a field in evolution. It has been really for at least the last 10 years. What else do you want to know?
Oh, yeah, thank you. That was a great kind of intro to the space, and interesting to hear about how it has been evolving. We've been identifying that there were a lot of changes, but it was hard to see what came before that. Is there any way in which you could quantify the changes in utilization over the last 3 to 5 years and the next 3 to 5 years? Has it been really significant, 20% more people?
I would take it back to around, let's say, the last 8 years, and say 8 years ago we were doing almost overwhelming